Microsoft, the tech giant we know today, has a dark history that many prefer to forget. From aggressive business tactics to controversial software practices, the company's journey has been riddled with secrets. Behind the success of one of the world's most powerful companies lies a story not just of genius and innovation, but betrayal, legal battles, and fierce rivalries. In 1975, two childhood friends, Bill Gates and Paul Allen, set out to build an empire. But what really happened behind the scenes of Microsoft's meteoric rise? And more importantly, what secrets were buried along the way? This is the dark story of Microsoft, where ambition came at a huge cost. Before Microsoft, Bill Gates and Paul Allen were two childhood friends who shared a deep passion for computers, technology, and innovation. After graduating from Lakeside, Allen attended Washington State University, but dropped out after 2 years to pursue his interest in computing. He briefly worked for Honeywell in Boston, but he kept in touch with Gates, brainstorming ways to use their knowledge of computers to start a business. Bill Gates, born in 1955, was 2 years younger than Allen and also attended Lakeside School. Like Allen, Gates showed an early aptitude for computers, and the two bonded over their shared interest. Gates was known for being more outspoken and competitive. He was fascinated by programming and would often push himself and others to achieve more. After high school, Gates enrolled at Harvard University, where he pursued studies in law, following his family's wishes, but his true passion remained computers. Even at Harvard, Gates couldn't stay away from technology, spending much of his time in the computer lab. Paul Allen, born in 1953, grew up in Seattle, Washington. He was always a tech enthusiast and excelled academically, particularly in subjects like mathematics and science. Allen attended Lakeside School, a private institution in Seattle, where he first met Bill Gates. It was at Lakeside that Allen's passion for computers really took off. The school had a terminal that allowed students to experiment with programming, and Allen, along with Gates, spent hours working on it. Allen was known for being quiet and more introverted, but incredibly smart, especially in understanding hardware. At Lakeside, Gates and Allen, along with a few other students, formed a small group that explored programming. They worked on several small projects and even hacked into the school's computer system to get more computer time. This was an early indication of their problem-solving abilities and their willingness to break rules to learn more about technology. In 1974, Allen came across an issue of Popular Electronics magazine that featured the Altair 8800, the first commercially successful personal computer kit. Seeing this as a massive opportunity, Allen approached Gates with the idea of writing software for the Altair. At that time, no one had created a basic interpreter for personal computers. Despite still being at Harvard, Gates jumped on board. The two contacted MITS, the company behind Altair, and offered to create the software. Although they hadn't actually written the code yet, they convinced the company they had a working program. This bold move set the foundation for what would eventually become Microsoft. In 1975, Gates left Harvard, and together with Allen, they founded Microsoft, originally spelled Microsoft, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where MITS was headquartered. Their goal was to dominate the emerging personal computing industry by creating software for every machine. It started with the Altair 8800, a primitive machine that would change the course of computing. The basic software developed by Gates and Allen marked the beginning of Microsoft's journey toward domination. When Paul Allen first saw the Altair 8800 in Popular Electronics, he immediately recognized that personal computing was about to take off. He approached Bill Gates with an idea to create software for the Altair, specifically a BASIC, which stands for Beginner's All-Purpose Symbolic Instruction Code Interpreter. BASIC was a relatively simple programming language that made it easier for users to write programs for computers. It was developed in the 1960s as a language accessible to beginners, but it had not yet been adapted for microcomputers like the Altair. Gates and Allen realized that if they could provide a version of BASIC for the Altair, they could be at the forefront of a massive shift in computing. But there was just one problem: they hadn't written the code yet. Without actually having the BASIC program, Gates and Allen contacted Ed Roberts, the founder of MITS, and convinced him that they had a working version of BASIC ready for the Altair. Roberts, intrigued by the idea, agreed to see a demo. This set off a race for Gates and Allen to develop the software from scratch. Paul Allen worked on writing the code, while Bill Gates focused on making sure it would be ready in time. Allen eventually flew to Albuquerque, New Mexico, where MITS was based, to run the program on the Altair. Amazingly, it worked on the first try. MITS was impressed and agreed to distribute its BASIC software. This marked the first big break for Gates and Allen, and shortly after, they officially founded Microsoft, then spelt microcomputer software. Gates and Allen saw something that few others did at the time: the power of software. While most people were focused on hardware advancements, they understood that software would drive the real revolution in computing. Microsoft's BASIC interpreter became the first widely used software for personal computers, making Microsoft a pioneer in the emerging software industry. This project with the Altair 8800 put Microsoft on the map. Not only did it establish Gates and Allen as key players in the computing world, but it also set the tone for their company's future. Their approach to licensing the software, rather than selling it outright, also became a cornerstone of Microsoft's strategy in the years to come. Gates, the face of the company, quickly rose to fame, but what few knew was the brewing tension between Gates and Allen. In the early years of Microsoft, Gates and Allen worked closely together, with Gates handling the business strategy and Allen leading the technical development. However, as the company grew and faced more pressure, Gates began to take more control, seeing himself as the primary driver behind Microsoft's growth. Allen, meanwhile, felt increasingly sidelined as Gates made key decisions without always consulting him. The relationship between Bill Gates and Paul Allen, though built on mutual respect and shared passion for technology, became increasingly strained as Microsoft grew into a dominant force in the tech industry. While they started as childhood friends with a common goal, their differences in personality, work ethic, and approach to business led to growing tensions over time. From the beginning, Gates was more aggressive, competitive, and focused on the business side of Microsoft. He was relentless in his pursuit of success and had a reputation for being demanding and hard on his employees, including Allen. Gates's leadership style was intense, and he often challenged people to meet his exacting standards. His vision for Microsoft was all-encompassing, and he believed in putting in long hours to achieve success. In contrast, Allen was more laid-back and introverted. He was the quieter, technical mastermind who preferred to work behind the scenes on software development. Unlike Gates, Allen wasn't as interested in the cutthroat aspects of business, and while he was dedicated to Microsoft's success, he didn't share Gates's relentless drive to dominate the industry. This difference in personality eventually became a source of friction. Paul Allen, the quieter genius, wasn't about to stay in the shadow of his partner forever. And when the pressure became too much, his health and their friendship paid the price. But how far did Gates go to ensure he stayed in control?